Hi guys, Tracy here. Today I'm scrapbooking in my new room. This is the first time I've scrapbooked in this room, so I'm so excited to have been able to create this really fun layout. I created this using the Blue Skies and Butterflies kit from Scrapbooking Cards Today. I'm really excited to share the process with you guys, but I thought I would start this video just by saying hello and thanking you guys for being so patient with me while I sorted out both my change in schedule that's going to be permanent moving forward and also my room that I had to change in order to kind of have a fresh start. I have an update video that I have planned to film and share with you guys. That will be coming up shortly. I have it all kind of outlined what I want to say in it, but I just haven't had a chance to actually film it yet. So that'll be coming up in the next probably week or so. In the meantime, I hope you enjoy this process video. Take care. Hi, Tracy here, and today I'm going to be scrapbooking this photo of my new scrap room from my new scrap room, and I'm going to be using the Blue Skies and Butterflies kit from Scrapbooking Cards Today. This is their scrapbook kit for the spring, and I really love this kit and I haven't had a chance to use it yet, so I wanted to make sure that I bust into this kit because I find that once I use a kit for the first time, I get lots of ideas about how to use it after that. So I didn't want this one to get lost in the shuffle because I've been changing around my scrap room. I've moved from the basement into the main floor of my house, and my room is quite a bit smaller. And so I've been shuffling around my supplies, trying to come up with a system that's going to work for my new scrapbook environment, and in the process I have been able to just make a little pile of things that I wanted to make sure that I get around to using sooner rather than later, and this kit was one of them. So this is the photo that I'm going to be scrapbooking today. It is the first photo that I took from my new scrap room. I had gotten up early in the morning and the sun was shining through. The sun was actually rising over there, and I had a chance to just take that photo of the sun beaming through my scrap room window, which is something that's never happened before because I used to scrap in the basement. And our basement is a walkout basement. It does have fairly large windows, but they're all on the other side of the basement. The room that I'm in, or that I was in, had no windows at all. It was completely underground. So our lot is what we call a walkout lot, which means it's kind of the yard is graded on a slope, and so that means that half of the basement is exposed and half of it is buried. And so anyhow, that doesn't really matter. Here we go. I am just starting off with that frame. It's a glitter frame that came in the kit, and I really like how it looks with the photo. It really kind of pops the photo a little bit. Otherwise, a lot of the things I'm planning to use are going to be really muted, and I want it to look muted to kind of just support that sunshiny, soft sunrise look. And so in order to make my photo pop out on the page, I thought I would frame it with that. And I'm actually using it as a mat instead of as a frame because I like the square corners showing on the photo. And I also like it like a little bit less of the frame showing than what it would show if I used it as a frame. So I'm using it as a mat. I just grabbed 2 strips. I cut 2 strips off of the white cardstock that came in the kit, and I grabbed this fairly old punch. It's the Bracket Punch by Fiskars. It's a border punch, and pardon my head as I figure out the camera where the camera is. So it'll take me a couple of layouts probably to figure out exactly where I need to be so that I'm in frame and all those sorts of things. So please bear with me as I figure this out as I go along with my new setup. Anyhow, I'm using that bracket punch, which I really love. I found that I discovered a lot of old supplies as I moved my scrap room from the basement to upstairs. And so I've kind of vowed that I'm going to try to use some of these supplies that I rediscovered, and I need a reason to keep them, right? Because space is at a bit more of a premium in this room, and so if I'm going to be hanging on to all this stuff, I darn well better be using it. So here we go. I am going to, you saw me just use that border punch to punch a really pretty white crisp border, and I'm just going to layer that border with this. It's basically the manufacturer's strip from that background paper. It is from let me see if I still have the strip. I do not. It is from the Pick Me Up collection from Pink Paisley. And so I'm using a giant piece of scrap paper here. This is actually from Scrapbooking Cards Today. I bought it at the Crop, at Crop and Create. And that paper pad is what I use for basically anything messy that I don't want to mess up my craft mat. And so I didn't want to have to bother with trying to remove glue from my craft mat. So I just use that scrap paper, and I just keep it right under my work mat. And that way I don't have to store it a special place, and I can just grab it whenever I need to do some outlining or some messy glue work. Now, what I love about this paper, this is some Vicky Bouton pattern paper that came in the kit. And what I love about it is that it brings in some yellows and oranges, which there are lots of yellowy orangey tones in the photo because it was in the early morning and the whole room had a yellowy hue to it. So I like that floral for that reason. It's also really bold. I wanted a one really bold pattern on this page just to, I don't know, give it a bit of oomph. I think that the background paper, as beautiful as it is, it's a little understated. And so I thought that that pattern paper would be great, but it was a little much. So I didn't want it to compete quite so much with the photo. So that's why I layered that more subtle pattern paper. That is also from Pink Paisley Pick Me Up collection. And it's kind of like stripes with a bit of a hexagon-y, arrowy kind of a look. Chevron maybe, I don't know what that shape is called, but it's a interesting shape. Now I was finding that the whole thing was a little bit too busy, so I am going to mat my too busy papers with white cardstock, because white cardstock came in the kit. It was right beside my hand. It was easy enough to pull it out, and I had already cut into it. And I just think that this will bring these papers together. They're papers from two different collections. They have a bit of a different look. One is really vibrant, one is more muted. And now this is the back side of that Vicky Bouton paper, and I wanted to use it as a layer, but I'm going to, just to make all of the papers look pretty consistent. Now this is too much. It's too much back and forth between white and color and white and color, so I'm not going to mat the frame, but everything else will get matted in white, and that also pulls some white into the layers that pick up on the white border punch that is along the top and the bottom of the page. And now to further pull these pattern papers together and to give my layers a nice finished look, I'm going to be outlining. Now, outlining is completely optional. It's not everybody's thing, but I really, really love outlining. If you've been watching me for a while, you know I outline almost every one of my papers on almost every one of my layouts. And I like the definition that it gives between the pages. And of course here, I don't need so much definition because I've got those layers of white in between, but it does provide further definition, and it tends to pull things together. And I also like multiple messy outlines, gives it a bit more of a casual look, especially with all of these rectangles. It is kind of starting to look a little bit too constructed, I guess, maybe, or I don't know the word that I'm looking for. It's looking a little bit too structured. And I find that the wobbly outlines, and they just go that way when I try to make a straight line, it just comes out a little bit wobbly. And so the wobbly lines just give it a little bit more of a casual, relaxed look and brings down the structure of it a little bit. So I really enjoy how that looks. I did outline the top and bottom of the little patterned paper as well. I didn't outline the punch, like the white punched border punch, because it would be way too fussy, and I didn't think I'd care for the look. The white paper gives enough contrast by itself because it's so stark white. Now I pulled out my pop dots here because I want to have a little bit of popped out effect. And then I decided not to remove the backing, just so that it basically, those pop dots are just holding the space. And that way, if I decide to tuck anything under there, I can. And yeah, so that will just have the edges on the top and bottom have a little bit of a roll to them, like just kind of turned up a little bit, and it will cast a bit of a shadow. I also popped out my photo on top of the frame, and I like how that's looking. Now I'm having a look at the embellishments here. I picked out those wood veneer butterflies that came in the kit because they're just so cute. And I decided to put this paper clip right here. It's going to basically remind me that I'd like to put some type of an embellishment there. My title, I think, because I want the title to be one of those large titles in the thickers that come, the thicker phrases that come in this kit. And so because I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a fairly large title, I'm thinking it will go in on that background paper, that large exposed bunch of background paper that's exposed over on the left-hand side. So I was trying to put all of my embellishments over on the other side, but I decided to add this. This is where the fun stuff happens die cut piece, because it just is so perfect for this page. I couldn't not use it. So I'm going to tuck it in under there. Now I just grabbed a piece of waxed paper from my roll of wax paper that I keep in my scrap room. And at this point I could use the thicker phrase that says life is good here, or all the good things, all the good things. And so I'm going to use all the good things because I really like how the glittery gold look to it. And I think it just kind of, fits with this idea of my scrap room being filled to the brim with all the good things. And so I'm just using the wax paper to plan out where my title will fall on the page. And as you see, it's going to be up here in the top left-hand corner. And I'm trying to use some arrows and some of the other little pretty pieces that come with it. I feel like this is too busy with those little lines around the heart, so I'm just going to put the heart by itself and put a couple of other hearts every here and there, and then those two arrows like that. Now the whole thing just felt like it was a little bit too close to the top edge, like the title didn't quite have enough room to breathe, and so I moved the whole thing down, like all of those layers down a little bit, as you saw me do. And that just gives me a little bit more space for this title to breathe a little bit more. I like how that looks. And I don't know exactly what I'm doing here, but I disappeared for a moment. Oh yes, I went to my drawer to get some ribbon. So when I was cleaning up, I found a bunch of ribbon that I hadn't used. This actually came in a previous kit. I'm pretty sure it came in a Scrapbooking Cards Today card kit. Maybe the fall or the winter card kit. And so I put it in with my borders. I have a drawer where I keep all like border stickers and stuff, just basically anything long and thin. And I had stuck this in there, and I knew that I wanted something to go, basically I wanted something to anchor the word things, to kind of tie it into the layers. I didn't want things to be just kind of floating out there in the middle of nowhere. So by putting that ribbon down there, not only does the ribbon add a bit of texture to the page, but it anchors the word things. Now, as I was cleaning up from this layout, I realized that there were actually washi stickers strips in the kit. And if I wanted to just use the kit for this page, I would have probably remembered that that was there. I just totally forgot. I think that this layout would look awesome with one of those washi stickers in place of the ribbon. I just completely forgot to use the washi stickers, so I'll save them for another day. And I just wanted to position the arrow that's over there on the right that's pointing to the Fun Stuff Happens box. I just didn't want it to be right on the very edge of the ribbon. I wanted a bit of ribbon sticking out from extending beyond where that arrow is. So that's what I was doing there. And now I'm just kind of placing the hearts every here and there, and placing some butterflies, some wood veneer butterflies every here and there. And now these wood veneer butterflies are looking a little plain for me, but I'm going to use them anyways. Like, what I mean by plain is I'm not quite sure that I like how similar in color the butterflies are to the gold thickers. Like, basically they come off as being a really similar beigey color, but the thickers are really bright and beautiful, sparkly. And so I feel like in comparison to those sparkly letters, the butterflies are they're coming off as kind of boring. Oops, I trimmed that a little bit too short, so I'm just going to pull it out a little bit. I wanted the ribbon to extend onto the background paper because it's on the background paper on the other side. So I just want that to kind of balance itself a little bit. I have this large die cut piece from the Pick Me Up die cuts, and I thought about cutting out a journaling block here out of these, like maybe using a punch and using that Doodlebug Designs paper that came in the kit. And I thought about putting it right at kind of like the corner, like where those flowers are coming out of. And, but I changed my mind and decided to journal all the way around the page instead of on a journaling spot. And so I'll read my journaling to you. It says, "This week I moved my scrap room from the basement into the main floor spare room / office." And I just put a gap there where the ribbon was. It was a lot of work, and I had to part with some supplies, but so worth it. Having natural light and being close to the fam. And then I just ended my journaling there. And so you see here, the journaling ends up being upside down for part of it, but I like the whimsical look that gives. And I like how it finishes off in a similar place. Like it starts off at the top of the title and finishes off at the bottom of the title. And I like how it's kind of like it encloses the whole layout. And so remember I was saying how those butterflies were just like they're blending in. They're just not different enough. Oh, I'm just giving some love to this beautiful pineapple pen that Giselle sent me. And the reason I thought about it is that I'm using the tag that Giselle sent with the pen as a little piece of paper to practice my paint pen on. So thank you so much to Giselle for sending me such a lovely, cute little pen. I adore it. Now this is I thought it was a Posca paint pen, but it's actually, what is the name of that company? It's like Pueblo? No, it's not. It's like, it is Pebeo. Deco marker. It's white. It's a white marker paint pen. And I just put 2 coats of white paint on the butterflies, and I think that just helps them stand out a little bit from the gold thickers and it just sets them apart. And now I dug into my stash and I found, as you see, I keep random embellishments in that little case, and I found this little butterfly made out of sequins. It's from Heidi Swap from several years ago, and I have 2 of them still in my stash, and so I thought what a great opportunity to use it right here in this little place where the flowers come out that I'm thinking about putting an embellishment there. Now, I don't want the butterfly to be all by itself, but I also didn't want to use that little doily that's actually like a little crocheted doily from Prima. It was a little bit too bulky and it was adding too much attention to that area. Like as it is, the butterfly is made out of these really flashy sequins and it's going to get a lot of attention, and I don't need more bulk and basically I want something for the butterfly to sit on, but I kind of want it to sort of disappear and barely be there. So I thought about these 2 punches that I have that punch these shapes that the butterfly might sit on. That flower circle one from Creative Memories is just too small, but this pointed frame punch from EK Success is one of my favorite punches. I use this punch really often. Well, what I mean by that is hardly ever, but of all my punches, I use it the most, which is still hardly ever, but here it is being used, so that's great. It always feels good to use your punches. So I punched it twice, once out of white and once out of pattern paper. I'm going to piece together 2 so that the frame is in white and then the inner piece that you're kind of supposed to throw away, I guess, if you're just using it as a frame. But I often use the inside piece as well. And so that will give me a nice little layered piece. And I'm outlining around the outside edges of it. It is textured paper, so I'm just going carefully and going over it enough to make sure that it, makes a little bit more impact. I've lost my favorite marker, that is my Sharpie pen. That is my very favorite because it gives a really nice dark line. This line is just not quite heavy enough. It's a 0.03 Pigma pen. And it's a micron, and I like it, but I have to go over it a couple times to get the same thickness as that Sharpie pen that I'm used to using. So I'm just going to adhere this frame out of white with just regular adhesive, and then I'm going to put some pop dots here. These are Stampin' Up! Dimensional adhesive, and I'm going to pop dot most of this, but then I'm going to use just regular adhesive for the bottom corner here where it's supposed to go under the paper clip a little bit. So now I have a bit of a dimensional sticker there, and I'm going to have my butterfly just sit on that. And because it's all paper, it's just not, I like it more than any of the other things that I was trialing out before that. And I took off the pop dot from the middle of the butterfly, and I added my own pop dots onto the frames, or not onto the frames, onto the wings. And now I'm just adding even more pop dots here. And I did put a little bit of Tombow Mono Multi adhesive on the center of the butterfly. There were like 2 little random threads hanging out of that, so I had to take care of those. And here we go. This is it. Now you can have a look at the close-ups. I love that textured white paper. It just makes such a little detail of difference on the top and the bottom of this page. And those little butterflies in white look adorable. I wish I had a million of those. They're so cute. I could use them on every layout. I love them so much. I do have some butterfly wood veneers, but not those pretty detailed ones. They're so lovely. And now I'm just showing the journaling that goes all the way around the page like that. And I really love that torn edge, how it's not torn properly, and yet the mat behind it is more of a perfect rectangle. And I think that just accentuates the imperfect nature of that piece of paper. I really like that look. So this page is done. It was so much fun to be in my new room scrapbooking. It'll take me a little while to get the whole process figured out. My camera wasn't working properly with my flash, so I had a bit of trouble grabbing these photos. So there's only a couple of them. I just wanted to get this this process video done, so I just moved on, even though I didn't get a chance to take quite as many photos as I normally take. But I hope that these ones that I did take give you a bit of a sense of how this one looks up close. So here's how it looks from a distance. Thanks so much for watching, and if you're new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell for notifications if you haven't already, just so that you don't miss any content from me. And also click any of the links here if you'd like to see more videos from me, and I will see you all next time. Take care and have a really great scrappy week.